How important is it to understand the value of the information before you create a record management plan?
I think that is actually absolutely hitting the nail on the head. The way the process should work should be to understand the business, understand the nature of information used in the business, understand the way in which the business needs to use its information, not necessarily the way it does use its information. I heard an excellent quote that if Henry Ford had asked people what they needed, they would have said they needed a faster horse. They didn't need a faster horse. They actually needed, the Model T. But I think it's actually mapping what the business requires before you then provide the systems, be those information systems, process systems, technology systems. The appropriate systems are out there, and the professionals are there who can provide those systems for you. But the first place to start from is to engage with those professionals and map your requirements. That is where you get your maximum business benefits. That's where you get your maximum cost spend efficiency, whether you're doing things in-house or outsourcing.
What's going on in terms of technology and regulations? What's the new things that are giving people opportunities and problems?
Well, the world of regulation gets ever tighter, and in that sense, it highlights the need for the professional in the thing, and businesses need to be concentrating on their business, and very much the professionals are there to help and assist. In terms of opportunities, I think the whole opening up of the electronic environment offers. It's often called the information tsunami, but I think it offers more opportunities than actually problems at the end of the day. And I think the role of our role as information professionals is kind of to be crafting the surfboards that turn it from being a tsunami, if you like, into a wave that our organisations can ride and even perhaps enjoy. Within that, you're looking at effective scanning and the such like, and making the stuff that, by effective I mean making the information accessible, both in terms of the documents but also the content within the documents through use of OCR technologies and smart search facilities. These are the things that start to deliver in business what people see in their personal life, which is pretty much search engine. Where you want to find something, you can find it straight away. When getting there within our organisations now, and it's this move to electronic, of which scanning is a key part, that's starting to deliver that expectation that we have really of the ability to find information when we need it in the business context.
In terms of, there's a lot of public sector organisations that have to deal with new paradigms in terms of regulations and budgets. What are the things that you're finding your members are finding foremost the issues that they're having to deal with?
Well, there are increasingly tighter budgets. I think areas where there are opportunities are within things like estate reduction. In the area of estate reduction, which is happening, the opportunity to convert great chunks of paper records that have to be retained, to convert those to electronic, is extremely desirable. Not only because you no longer have to store them in paper and you can shift that cost to electronic, which does tend to be cheaper, but also you're actually gaining access to those records that you may never have had before. So, whereas cost saving is the driver, you are actually making a cost saving, but you're actually seeing a business benefit as well.
And what about the end user, the clients, the customers? At the far end of the chain, people are getting very demanding about their expectation of what information they can get just straight off the internet. How is the customer expectation changing the industry?
Well, I think we're all customers. We're all customers. We could be working for the most tech poor organisation. Yeah, in the lunch hour, if we choose to, we can go out and acquire an iPhone 6. And probably after we've gone home at the end of the day, probably if we stay up late, even the least competent of us technologically wise can have the thing working. So I think we're all customers in that sense, in that we all have an expectation of, I want it and I want it now. I think the opening up the whole box of electronic technologies, the EDMS through ECM systems, and the scanning that feeds into that, offers businesses the opportunity to actually get there. In some sectors, it's already there. They tend to be the sectors where information has a direct cash value. If you look at practices in oil and gas, in pharmaceutical, in the higher end of legal, you see some amazing business systems in there. If you move over into the public sector, of course, it's an entirely different dynamic. The money isn't there. Our annual conference sees all these sectors coming together. And we had a comment from a chap from the oil and gas sector a couple of years ago who was speaking, who said, and he actually came back the following year as well, he said he really found the conference valuable because the people involved in the public sector weren't just throwing money at the problem. They were having to think. They couldn't have an attitude of, we'll try plan A, and if that doesn't work, we'll do plan B, plan C. People were having to think out very carefully before committing to spend. And I think that's quite an interesting insight.